Hello, my name's Scott. I am a senior quality engineer and sometimes test lead based in the northwest of England. And at the moment I am putting some videos together just to give you a basic introduction to Playwright and test automation. These videos are aimed at people who maybe haven't dipped their toe into Playwright or test automation in the past. So it's kind of like a little intro. There's nothing too complicated in these. These are just baby steps. So if you are an advanced Playwright user, I'd probably recommend going and finding other videos that may suit your purpose better. We are just basically starting out with our Playwright journey here. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through just creating your first test. So just that first little test that's going to show you the basics of how Playwright works and what it's doing. And in order to do this, I'm using the application that I built for testing, which is available on GitHub. I'll include a link to it in the description below, and you can clone that and you can make use of it as you will. I've also got an introduction video to that will also link in the description below, just so you can have a look at what's on there and listen to my dulcet tones. But yeah, today we're just going to go through creating that first Playwright test for our application. So I've got the application open and running at the moment. You see that I'm on the login page. And for our first test, what we'll be doing is we'll be logging in and we'll be validating that we have logged in. So we're going to log in as the customer, and there's the customer's login details down there. These are the things that we need to fill in. So we need to complete the username, the password, and then what we'll need to do is we'll need to click login. So let's do that just to show what we're doing. So we take the customer and we put that in username. We take customer 123, which is the password, and we put that into password. We click login, and then we're on the page. I'll just close my one password there, which is just an annoyance. We see that the page has got a title of bookstore, and that's what we'll basically be validating, that has loaded up. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. So let's go into our Visual Studio. And you'll see here that I've got the shell of a test open. We'll just go through the components that we've got here. Nothing to worry about too much here. This is all stuff that, it's good to know, but it's good to know when you're further into the journey. When you first start, there's just basics that you just want to know, and that's what this video is all about. But we'll go into what we've done. So the first line is our import, and this is just basically what we want to bring in from the Playwright code base, basically what we're going to be using from Playwright. And we're going to be using a couple of things from Playwright. We're going to be using test, which more often than not is what you're going to be using from Playwright. And we're going to be using expect. Expect is our validation, so it's what we actually expect to see when we've actually run our test. We then open the test block, and the test block has a few little components in it here. It has two single quotes there. This is where we can put in our test name. So we'll do that. Customer login to application. Okay, it isn't async, it's an asynchronous process. We're using the page model or the page object, and then we're opening up our function there. We use fat arrow functions, which is a feature of TypeScript and I think JavaScript now as well, but I think it's all stuff that you can learn later. Okay, so let's first start by mapping out what it is we actually want this test to do. We'll do this in comment blocks, which in JavaScript and TypeScript is just 2 slashes thus. And the first thing that we want to do is go to the login page. The next step that we'll want to do is enter customer username. Then after that, we will want to enter the customer password. And then we want to click login button. And then we will validate that we are on the right page. Okay, now you don't always have to do that, but I'm doing it for demonstration purposes here. It's not a bad little practice to do just to show, what your test is doing, so that if someone comes in who doesn't really understand code, they can at least see a basic overview of what it is you're actually doing there. So there are steps. Let's have a look at how we actually go about doing that. So writing our first step, we start with the await command, which basically just tells Playwright to wait for the page object to load, and we're going to have await page. Okay, now there's a couple of actually, I won't go into that yet. We'll just do go to straight away. I was getting a little bit ahead of myself there. Apologies. Go to, and we have single quotes. Now, we're going to keep it really basic at the moment. I will show you an advanced little way of storing your URL later on, so that you can use it repeatedly without constantly having to change it in a million places. But for now, we'll just basically do it in line. So I'll grab that URL. I can do that from my app, and we know that that's it. So it's our local host. Obviously, if you're using a hosted version of something, it'll be different. But for our purposes, we're just using the local host. So I can paste that in there. So that's going to say to Playwright, okay, I want you to go to that page. So when we get to that page, what we'll want to do is we want to do await page. This is what I was about to say before, and it's probably more pertinent at this point. There are two ways to go about doing this in Playwright, and I am yet to be told why either way is right or wrong. They're both right because they both work, but I'm yet to be told why either way is right or wrong. So what I do, so the way that you'll see it done in Playwright documentation is that you do the locator, and then you do the action that you want to do on that locator. I find that a little bit more difficult to read. What I tend to do is I do the action, and then within the action, I do the locator. So I'll show you that. So fill. Okay, and then we do a single quote, and then we do square. Okay, so ignore the error for now. We'll get rid of that. And what we want to do is we want to find a way to locate the element that we want to do something with. So if we go back to our app, okay, and what we do is on a PC, we press F12 to open the DevTools. And this is what we got. And this is our DOM inspector. So we can inspect the DOM, which is what we want to do. There's a little thing up here, the little icon with an arrow pointing into a square. If we click that, that will allow us to inspect all the elements on the page separately. So everything that's clickable. So what we want to do, we want to find out the username. So we click on that, and you'll see that the DOM takes us to that. So it's highlighted. So what we're looking for in here, there's two things that we want to bear in mind when we look at what actually makes a good locator. One is it needs to be unique, and two, it needs to be fixed. So it needs to be a fixed value. There are going to be cases where when you're looking at the DOM, there's going to be values that vary depending on the load, the ID of the element. If it's an ID for an element that links to something in a database that brings in customer information, such as a customer ID or something like that, it will potentially vary each time it loads. So there's going to be some variables. So what we're looking for a fixed element. Now, we've got ID username. That's a good option. You normally see that in most DOMs. Type text, I'd probably go away from that. Name, username we can use placeholder. What I'm going to use, and this is because I've put this into my version or my code repo for the app, is the ARIA label. I will do a video at some point as to what our ARIA labels are and why they are really awesome. But for now, it's there. Let's use it. So I'm going to take that. If you double click on it, like that, it will highlight it. You do Control C or right click copy, whatever you want to do. You go back to your Visual Studio and you put that in there. And that's saying, right, I want you to fill that element, but we haven't told it what we want to fill it with yet. So let's do that. So we do comma, we do single quotes, and we remember what our customer username is. We can see that on here. If we just make that a little bit bigger so you can all see it. Let's have a look. It is down there. That's what we're looking for. So we're looking for customer, and that's what we want to do. So we'll copy that. We will go back to Visual Studio and we'll put that in. So what we've done, and we will close that off with a semicolon, which is just good practice. We've said, right, I want you to go to that element and I want you to enter that value. And now we need to do the same with password. So again, await page.fill. We do that and that. Okay, so let's go back to our app. What is the element there? So we click on that and we click enter password. And again, we got ARIA label, password input. So I will, I'll double click. Oh, it's not on to play, is it? Okay, double click on that. We get that, Control C. And we will then go back to Visual Studio. We put that in there. And then we just want to get our password, which I know off the top of my heart. I'm not going to take you back there and keep on doing that. I'm not going to teach grandma how to suck eggs. So there we go, customer 123. So what we've done, we've said, right, we're going to put the customer into the username. We're putting the password into password. The next thing we need to do is click on that button. So again, await page, and this time we're using click. And we do our little thing there so that we're ready to go and put in the locator. Okay, so let's go back to our little app here. We click on that and we click on login, and this time you see, so things like class, button login, type, submit, and all that. Sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't, but we got the ARIA label, and as I say, I want to get into the habit of using that. So ARIA label, click to log in. Okay, we'll do that. We go Visual Studio, and we're there, and we've done it. So that is our process. So we're going to go to the localhost 5173. When we get there, we're going to put customer and username. We'll put customer 123 in password. We'll then click to log in. And what we expect to happen, and this is where we do our validation. So again, always await, because we're waiting for it to load up. We don't use page this time. We now use expect. So this is us saying, right, this is an assertion. We expect something to be in play. We do put page. We put page in there just to say that we expect the page that you've got open to have what we're about to tell you. And what we want to do is we want it to have title, and we do bookstore. And that's basically saying that we want it to have a title that contains the word bookstore. So it won't be exactly bookstore, but it will have the word bookstore in there. And that is our test. So let's go through it again. We're going to go to the localhost 5173. We're going to fill the username field with customer. We're going to fill password with customer 123. We're then going to click login, and we're expecting that the page that loads to have the title bookstore. So we can run it if we just click the little green arrow there, and we see that come up, and there it is, and it's telling us that we've got one test passed. Excellent. There you go. We have now created our first automated test. I hope you found that useful. If you did, do leave a comment below. I'm going to start saying it, like and subscribe. Always helps me. And I will continue to make these videos. They're probably going to be, as I say, they'll probably be a little bit ad hoc. It's when I've got time. At the moment, I am seeking my next job opportunity and obviously getting ready for Christmas like the rest of you who celebrate Christmas. But yeah, I will try to get these videos out semi-regular. I'll definitely try and get a few more out before the end of the week. If you do have any ideas of what you'd like me to actually demonstrate, then again, drop me a line, put something in the comments, or shoot me a message. But until we speak again, thanks for listening. Cheers. Bye.